Well, hello, sports fans. Greetings from Portland, Oregon. It is Athletics Chat 51. 5-1. And as our dear friend Stuart said, we must have been doing this for over a year now, so yeah, pretty cool. Stuart, hello. How are you today?
Hi. Well, I'm fine.
You're still in the intellectual capital of the world?
I am, but as from next Monday, our esteemed leader, Uncle Boris, is saying that we can do amazing things like go into a bar, go into a restaurant. I don't mean outside, I mean inside.
Man, that's totally cool. That's very cool. Yeah, where I'm at in Portland, we sit outside.
Yeah. Well, this is new. This is starting with us on Monday.
Wow.
Because we've been so good, because we've all held our arms out, because we've social distanced.
Wow. And are there many people in the UK who believe that this is like a conspiracy phenomenon, science fiction, government, big business thing? Okay.
No.
All right. So this is kind of like maybe a US kind of a thing, because over here there's some pretty special. I understand people questioning vaccines and being concerned. Total respect for that. But I thought someone was joking when they told me that they were worried about the Bill Gates chip in the vaccine. So I said something about it. I wrote something on Facebook, and I got a comment back and said, "Be careful. Don't do that in jest." And I'm just kind of going, okay. So let's get let's get back to the real world. We had a fab track meet yesterday at Mount San Antonio College. And our dear friend Stuart is, I think either he's sacrificing an animal or he's just checking his connection. So Mount Sac, it was the first really big event they had there. And for people in your country, Mount San Antonio College is a junior college that has had a tradition over the last 70 years of amazing track meets. The Hilmer Lodge Stadium was completely raised and rebuilt, and it looks awesome. I cannot wait to go down there and see my friends at Mount Sac and enjoy a good track meet. But boy, did they put one on yesterday.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to adjust something. I had to unplug something because I had this little device. If you talk nonsense, it cuts the sound off.
Oh, so no!
Restarted.
So if I said Americans were doing all kinds of track and field, good track and field.
I'd have to reset it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're good to go. Well, hey, one of the things is, that I collect are inane questions which are asked of athletes.
Yes.
And I thought we had a really good one, but we all learned something when the Trek interviewer said to Gemma Ricci after she'd won her race, tell me, what do you think of the weather in California? Will it be as warm as this in Scotland?
Lewis was good. That was, I thought, one of the funny moments in the meet yesterday.
Yeah. And so Gemma said, no, it'll be a lot colder in Scotland. So now we know it will be a lot colder in Scotland when she's back next week.
Yes. I think, she ran a brilliant race, and so did Laura. I thought, you had some, that was an interesting, but you know what I was disappointed about? In the back straight boys got me focused on this when I interviewed them last week. They said one of the problems with American commentating is how partisan they are. And Mel Bishop Mirugi, who is an awesome 800-meter runner, and she just got back from having a baby.
Yep.
She was running the best race she's run since 2016, and they barely mentioned her. And that kind of stuff annoys me. Yeah. I mean, it was that happens sometimes. So.
Well, now, I'm sorry, but I really have to call out Gemma Ricci, and I put this in the article.
Okay.
It was Laura Muir's birthday, and clearly Gemma had not had the memo telling her that it's Laura's birthday, let her win.
Yeah.
And so, I felt for Laura. But seriously, though, Gemma, of course, had lost to Adele Tracy at Eugene. And so perhaps there was a little bit in that. But I just thought that, it was a fast first lap, about 57-something seconds.
Yeah.
Laura Gemma just seemed to control the race. Laura came fast at the end, but she had just left herself too much to do. Now, it's quite unusual for the two of them to run against each other. And I did talk to them about this last year, about does Andy give each of you a secret race plan, or do you share your race plans? And they both said, no, we don't share race plans. It's a real race. If it's a prelim at a championship, we'll work together.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a one-off race, we will each talk to the coach separately, and we won't share with each other what we're going to do. So it is a genuine race. And Gemma, I think, would be perceived to be the better 800, and Laura the better 1500. But they're quite interchangeable. And Laura did 1:58.46, which is really not bad to do at the beginning of May by anybody's standards.
Yes. No, I thought that women's 800 was pretty tremendous. What other performances on the British side, and then I'll talk about the people on this side of the pond.
Well, Eilish McColgan is doing the 10,000 in the Olympics, but just to show people that she's not one-dimensional, she goes out and runs 4:03 in the 1500. I
was impressed with that. That was quite good, my friend. Yeah. She had a nice 5,000 earlier in the season.
Yeah. Judd running PR in the 5,000, and Steph Twell demonstrating her fitness. She was selected for Tokyo in the marathon, but she hadn't run for some time, so she was demonstrating. But the rivalry between the O'Feely sisters is becoming a little bit one-sided, because Cindy, I think for the third time out of four, has won this year. And Cindy ran 12:53, which is the second PR she's done of the season, and we're only at the beginning of May. And I have so much respect for Cindy. I know she's been on your Socially Distance, but she had this horrendous injury in 2017, having missed a medal in Rio by a fraction of a second. So she has this horrendous injury, and she struggles in 2018-19. She just not back to the speed that she was having. I wondered whether she would ever get back. And now she's been running out of her skin this year, winning the silver in the European indoors, and then running at 12:55 and now at 12:53. And she just seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah.
And again, Tiff is a bit older. She's a mom coming back after that, and she's putting in some solid times as well. You might say that 12:69 is not fast enough to do anything, but it's early season. She's getting better and stronger. She's working as a pharmacist as well as running and being a mom. I have a lot of time for those two ladies, and there was big arguments for saying that we'd seen the best of both of them, and perhaps we haven't.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very interesting season where both of them are doing so well. We've been watching them compete, obviously, at the European Championships, indoor champs, and they both had fantastic days. That was just really impressive, And then I thought Cindy ran obviously well yesterday. Kenny Harrison, the American hurdler, the world record holder, was fantastic. Her challenge seems to be more than anything keeping herself focused and staying sure of herself. And yesterday she ran, which I think is really important. And that's got to be. Lewis Johnson alluded to that, in the interview. Just said how she dealing with the pressure.
Yeah, and of course, the thing you'd have to say about Kenny is that she's never really done herself justice in a championship.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole issue. Want to see her win an outdoor championship. That could be really big. I'll tell you the event that over here that got the most interest was DK Metcalf in the second heat of the men's 100, a 235-pound, 6'6" football player, American football player, who reminds me of your discus thrower in the UK, who was, I think, the record holder still. But he ran 10:37, which is pretty darn impressive. But here's the thing that was interesting. The social media world went crazy about it because Otto Bolden and the announcers said, hey, you know what? They didn't think he'd run faster than 10.5, and he duked it out. And afterwards, I thought he did a great interview. Lewis Johnson was kind of saying, hey, why would you put your football rep on the line going into another sport? And Mr. Metcalf said, because I'm an athlete. And I just thought that said it all. I've got a lot of time for an athlete like that. But I also think that USATF and NBC and the other groups that do stuff should take note. If you're going to expand the track and field universe, hell, take a rugby midfielder and put him in a 400 because there's some guys out there. I used to pick my 4x4 team from the European football squad at my junior college and also in high school. Our best 800 guy when I went to Bellarmine was an Irish kid who was a midfielder. And you watched him running for 90 minutes and coach said, well, give him 2 workouts a week and I can have him run a 2-minute 800, So that kind of stuff, I think that was a good thing. I think DK Metcalf, that was a great moment. The meet ended well with 2 amazing 200s. Noah Lyles and Kenny Bednardik, the race we've wanting to see for a while. One of my closest advisors told me, I gave him a list of 5. I needed 5 athletes to look for in 2022. Noah Lyles and Kenny Bednardik were 2 of the 4, and they duked it out. 19.9 to 19.94, and then in the women's 200, that was even more interesting. Gabby Thomas ran 22.12 she outbattled Jenna Pranini, who dropped to 4th. Lena Irby was 2nd, and then Allison Felix. That's probably your best performance in 4 years. And what's interesting is that, as you know, is that Jenna Pranini kept Allison off the Olympic team in 2016 at 200. So it's a very interesting little world we're dealing with right now.
And can I just mention the 200B race?
Yes.
Where Shanti Jackson, who ran 23:46 in the B race, and she's 16, the daughter of Bashan Jackson.
Wow.
And I just want to know, if you can run 23:46 when you're 16, what are you going to be running when you've grown up?
That's true.
And of course, with Bashan to guide her through the whole process.
Yeah, no, that makes it kind of cool. It was also fun to see Jody Williams in that second heat.
Yeah.
But she had a great indoor season, and you had a plethora of British athletes at Mount Sac. So I thought that was pretty darn cool.
Jodie actually has given herself a little bit of a problem because people are saying to her, you know, you ran the 400 so well, and you run the 400 relay. What about giving the 400 a go and dropping the 200?
Mhm.
And when she was asked about this, he sort of said, "I'm not sure about that." But I mean, it's in a way, lots of people would quite like to see her do that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
she's got some wheels.
could we talk about the women's 100 because there's all sorts
Yes.
of people there that fascinated me.
Okay.
Sha'Carri Richardson running 10:74 in the prelim.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, several people did a faster time in the prelim than in the final because the wind seemed to be changing direction. Because if you
Yeah.
look at the wind readings, that was part of it. But again, I mean, for me, the great question about Sha'Carri Richardson, running 10:74 is phenomenal. But if she were to be in the Olympic final between Shelley Ann and Elaine Thompson, I wonder what she could run. You know, could she produce her best, or would the championship experience of Shelley and Elaine be what made the difference? I don't know the answer. I'd love to see it.
I think that is a wonderful question. No, Sha'Carri Richardson, in the interview afterwards, was talking in the third person a lot, which is what American athletes tend to do sometimes after they've started to do well. And I think it's just something her agents or managers suggested. And it was pretty much, well, every time Sha'Carri Richardson competes, it's going to be entertaining. And I do believe that. I think she's a huge talent. But as we know, with the U.S. Olympic trials coming up,
Yeah.
that's getting through those trials is more than being the fastest out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see kind of how things go.
I remember Shelley saying to me last year that she thought her experience was a massive advantage because even though she's older, she says,
Mhm.
no matter what happens to me or goes wrong in the preparation, it's happened before. I've been there before. I know how to deal with it.
Yeah, that's the thing, that experience is such a huge deal. Just from, well, there probably won't be a crowd at the U.S. trials,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You said you had some other athletes in the women's 100 you wanted to chat about?
You know, there was somebody who ran 11:28, and I can think of lots of British sprinters who'd be quite happy running 11:28. But the person I'm
Wow.
talking about is Veronica Campbell Brown, who next week will have her 39th birthday.
Wow.
And
Wow.
she's running 11:28 and 11:31. And she's a 5-time Olympian. And dare we think, hope, wonder if she's going to be a 6-time Olympian?
That's just amazing. That
And
is.
the other thing is, she got injured in June 2017. I looked it up. Since June 17, before last weekend, she's had 2 indoor and 2 outdoor races. And yet she goes out and runs 11:28 and 11:31. Phenomenal.
Yeah, it just tells you how strong she is.
Great to see Javian Oliver go under 11 for the first time.
Mhm.
You know, I wrote a piece about her and how she's
Yep.
she's up until now. I said to her, "You seem to be a better indoor runner than outdoor," and she said, "Well, only because I keep getting injured when the outdoor season starts." So she's avoided injury, and she's now gone under 11. So well done her, and great to see English Gardner running only 11:29 and 11:50, but she's had a horrendous time recovering from COVID.
Yep. That's the thing. We've been hearing more and more athletes that have been having challenges. From Sandy Morris. I think I recall Katie Najee when we talked to Katie, and it's just and we've still got to be very, very careful. That men's 1500 was pretty phenomenal too. The young Australian Ollie Hoare, who he reminds me of Herb Elliott. He's just built strongly, and Justin Knight and him went at it pretty hard. And afterwards, I thought the interview was very good. Justin paid him a lot of credit, and they kind of teased each other, which is the way athletes really behave in the sport, which is kind of nice to see. But the depth was pretty impressive, and they did a really nice meet. And hats off to the gentleman who put the fields together. We understand it was Mark Wetmore was involved with John Capriati, and the so good things there. And I thought each event had some real stars, which was great to see. And even though for a lot of them it's their first real meet of the season, and Mount Sac is like that,
I think we've got to keep remembering that, and not just their first race of the season. For some of them, their first race for 2 years, because some people didn't run at all last year.
They were one of the two of the best performances on the world class level. We haven't talked about the 400 hurdles, and Shamir Little, who has been concentrating on the 400, ran 53.65, a new world leader. She looked fantastic. And Rye Benjamin, 47.13. I watched that 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th hurdles, and he took out the 44-year-old record of one Edwin Moses. But what was really funny, I thought, was afterwards, Rye talked about how he and Edwin did a Zoom call, and Edwin was giving him some ideas. And I recall about 3 years ago, you and I were watching, you were there. I think it was in Oslo. Karsten Warholm was opening the 400 hurdles. And Edwin was trying to give him suggestions, but Karsten really didn't seem to care. So it'll be interesting to see with both of those guys in shape what happens this season too.
See, I love what Jonathan Edwards says. When Jonathan says, people say, "Oh, I would love somebody to break my world record." Well, I wouldn't. I hope my world record stays forever. So I just wondered, what kind of advice is Edwin giving him?
True. Yeah, we'll have to ask Edwin about that one. That'll be one on our short list of questions, right? But so the Mount Sac meet was fantastic. They had a world leader in the men's pole vault too, and some very good, just some great field events on the women's side too. So let's talk about our Gateshead coming up, and maybe the two Gatesheads.
Gateshead, it's coming up 2 weeks yesterday. And I mean, it's they seem to be having some pretty good athletes. They're in the usual way releasing names very slowly, but Mondo is going. I believe Elaine Thompson is running against Richardson and Dean Asher-Smith. It's going to be with some spectators, we think, but we don't know how many. Media are going to be allowed to be there, but with a number of restrictions. I'm planning to go there.
Oh, great!
It'll be my first one for 15 months. And then, yes, as you say, the British Athletics have now accepted that the anniversary games will not be in London, but have not said where they're going to be. But Gateshead is the obvious place. Strange for Gateshead not to have a Diamond League for years. Suddenly it's getting two. The only alternatives that I am aware of would be Manchester, which is a smaller capacity, people have talked about Crystal Palace, but I don't think that is in the condition that it could host this kind of event, because it's to my understanding, it has not been they've not kept it up because it hasn't had anything. Golly, there hasn't been an elite athletics event there since before 2012, I think 2013 possibly. But yeah, so it's I can't see where they'll go other than Gateshead.
Yeah.
And the fact that Gateshead will have done one will make it easier to do another one. But so that's the situation. It'll certainly be nice to see that happening. I mean, we are in a situation at the moment that there are only. I mean, the government announced that there are 10 countries that we can now go to without having to quarantine on the way back. But it's a bit of a stupid list because it includes New Zealand and Australia, which will not accept us. And it includes a number of little islands that there's no reason to go to. So I'm assuming that there must be some kind of exemption for athletes coming in and going out and so on. But otherwise, it's going to be rather difficult for people. But I haven't really had that kind of detail or seen that. But I think we're all looking forward to an event at which hopefully quite a number of British athletes will get the chance to have international competition and a chance to get Olympic qualifying standards.
Yeah. No, I think that's going to be. What are you hearing about a British trials? Anything yet?
Oh yes, they are taking place the same weekend as the US ones. I mean, the US ones a week, but it's the final weekend is something like the 25th to 28th of June, and that is in Manchester, and that may or may not have spectators. It's a pretty small stadium, so it won't have a lot of spectators, and it's back to 3 days. The last couple of times they've done it just on the Saturday and the Sunday, but it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday this time. So I mean that's going to be big because we now have the rule that unless you have a medical exemption, you must take part in order to be selected.
Are you going to go to the British trials?
I am planning to go, yes.
Okay, good. Then we'll have coverage of both. That'll be a lot of fun. We're still trying to figure out what the heck's going on here. I'm planning to be up here from about the 16th on of June, and I was considering staying until the Prefontaine meet, which is in August after the Olympics, because I'm trying to figure out, are we going to have an Olympics? What's going on? I mean, I just got the note today about my housing, and they said they'll get back to us after the 10th and give us some suggestions, because I haven't done anything at all. And I'm very curious to see how they're going to respond. Have you taken care of your accommodations yet, or what have you done?
I am in an official hotel, and according to the conditions, I should have paid my second half of the accommodation this week, but they've now put that off for 5 weeks, so I don't have to pay until early June. I mean, a cynical person would say they've given themselves another 5 weeks to cancel. I mean, something which has happened this week is very interesting, is that a petition online asking the IOC not to hold the Olympics has been signed by 200,000 people, and they were going to give it to Thomas Bach when he comes to Tokyo next week. The problem is that Thomas Bach is not coming because it's not deemed to be safe for him to come.
Yes.
So if it's not safe for him to come, what about the Olympics? Did you sit in on the briefing on Friday?
I did not.
I did. There's not a lot different from that. They say that they have the advantage that there have been a lot of sports events during the year and they can learn from that. But it seemed to me to come across that they were much more worried about protecting the local population than they were about us. I mean, we would be in effectively a kind of Olympic bubble. You're not allowed to go to a restaurant, you're not allowed to go to a bar, you're not allowed to travel on public transport. You have to declare in advance all the places you're going to go, and so on. Interestingly, the IAAF are now announcing that following the World Relays, there have been no positive tests among athletes compared to the 40 at the European Indoor. So that is seen as an example that you can actually run a meet. But of course, you're talking about, I think it was 900 people, athletes, officials, etc., whereas you're talking about 10 to 15,000 at an Olympics.
Yeah. I mean, that's the scary thing, I think, for me. I mean, I thought that at the Europeans with 760 athletes, 40, and most of them, majority, 34, 35, were post-event. We just don't know what's going to happen
I was on a phone call today to somebody in Tokyo on another matter, and I asked him, what do you think as somebody living there? And I mean, he came up with the fact that there's been the online petition, the fact that the opinion polls show that 80% of people don't want the Olympics. But he said the problem is that the government has spent 26 billion. I presume that's yen, and I'm not quite sure what that converts to. But he said the problem is that the government has spent this phenomenal sum on the Olympics, and they lose it all if they just cancel. And of course, if they go ahead, the TV money that they get in will help offset some of that, and people being there will spend some money and will help that. So for that reason, he said he thought it was 80% likely to go ahead. Obviously, this is just one person living there, but it's interesting that he said that he thought the driver from the government was the amount of money, the amount of public money that they would lose. Now, I believe there's a general election coming up. Not that, of course, we would think in any way that the Prime Minister would be influenced by what people would think of his decision. I mean, we know that he will make the right decision, morally the right decision, and he won't think at all about whether it will help his re-election.
Not at all. And I agree with you with that. I think that that's a good point. Yeah, because the Japanese aren't swayed by politics. No, I think there's a dance that they're doing, and that the IOC is doing too. I just wish. I love the Olympics. It's my favorite thing to do every 4 years, and I love the World Championships. But I also think sometimes there are things like dying that are if a group of athletes dies from getting sick in Japan, it is going to be something that's going to be hard for the Olympic movement to recover from, because the media will not let them down, it's a very, like, we're loving seeing the track meets in the U.S., and there are a plethora of them. But in California, the biggest high school meet in the country and one of the fastest was canceled. Now, many coaches and friends in California are saying, because I coached high school and community college and college in California, many coaches are saying they were being very, very careful. And I get that, but I also think that this is something that we just don't, we still don't have all the information in on. And that's what's scary, Do I want to see Gemma Ricci compete and Laura Muir and some of the others? Yes. And do I want to be in a stadium and watch it? I mean, I like you. I hadn't been to a meet since the last day in January of 2020, and my first meet was this last Friday, and there was about 300 people in the Hayward Field stands in a stadium that seats 22,000 plus.
Yeah.
And we made as much noise as we made. It was also very obvious that there weren't a lot of people there who. There just weren't a lot of people in Hayward.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till the place gets filled up because I think it'll be fantastic. But I think it's also one of those things that we'll be prognosticating about it in week 52, 53, and 54, So,
yeah.
Well, Stuart, you survived 39 minutes. Congratulations, my friend. Stay safe this week. Enjoy going into a bar. Enjoy going into some other buildings next week. And thank Citizen Johnson there for being able to do things so nicely. But all right, be good, my friend. This is Larry Eater with RunBlogRun. We've had Stuart Weir and Larry Eater chatting today, Athletics Chat 51. The programming is managed by our dear friend Mike Deering. He is our production manager. And this is done by the Shoe Addicts for RunBlogRun. If you like RunBlogRun, please, please, please like us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do all three, And then if you love us, subscribe on the YouTube. We've got about 2,500 plus videos and audios, over 369 last year, where our dear friend Mike had a deal with Stuart and I on many occasions together.
Yeah.
Poor guy. But it's fun. There's something for everybody, and enjoy. Stay safe. Stuart, I'll talk to you next week on Chat 52. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye now. Hey, sports fans, it's your favorite time of the week, the epilogue of the Athletics Chat. And this is number 51. 5-1. Wow. Can you believe it? So this is how it works. Stuart Weir in Oxford, England. And this week he actually gets to go into a bar, not sit outside of one and have a pint, but go into a bar. Actually, I think he'll have a glass of white wine. And Stuart's in the intellectual capital of the world, as John Richardson tries to tell us that it's London, but we know, John, and thank you. I know as a hurdler sometimes, or an ex-hurdler, London seemed to be a cooler city, but we think Oxford is, Anyway, so our friend is Stuart Weir's in Oxford. I'm in Portland, Oregon this week. I was in Eugene, Oregon over the weekend for the first time in 15 months. Went to a track meet. Went to the Oregon Twilight meet. It was wonderful. I was one of about the 305 fans in a stadium that sits about 22,000. It's gorgeous. The color, the tradition. It is a cathedral to athletics. You must go there. You must see it. It was a lot of fun. And men's 1500, which we wrote about on RunBlogRun, came down to the wire. It was exciting. The meet in Walnut at Mount Sac came down to the wire too. Some great performances from the 100 meters to the 1500 to the 5,000 to the steeplechase to the 1500s were phenomenal. The 800s were great. Shamir Little, 53.65 world leader at the 400 hurdles. She's been running the 400 all season flat. And our friend Ry Benjamin, in his first foray into the 400 hurdles this season, ran 47.13. And he sent a lovely message to Qatar and to Norway and to places in between that this will be a 400-meter hurdle season like no other. Can Shamir Little take on Sydney McLaughlin and Delia Muhammad? I believe so. I think it's going to be amazing. So we're looking forward to those as well. So Mount Sac, I think they did a great job. Kier Goucher is continuing to improve as a announcer. Otto Bolden, I love Otto. My only issue is I love Allison Felix too, but there's other athletes out there besides Allison. And sometimes I think you guys get bad intelligence about who is going to win a race and who's going to do well. But besides that, I think it rocks. Lewis Johnson, you do a great job. I love the camaraderie between the entire crew on NBC announcing. They know their stuff. And I think the American fans are fortunate to see and hear them. So on top of that, we're going to talk about Gateshead. Gateshead is coming up in 2 weeks. I was hoping to go. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. I was hoping for Gateshead in Qatar, but we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm curious why our friends in Eugene 2022, they have a great opportunity. And the truth is, the first championship that's going to make any sense is going to be then. They haven't begun promoting this thing yet. Part of it is because the debacle with the Olympic trials, and today we found out Thomas Bach canceled his trip to Tokyo because of COVID. That's kind of interesting. Speaking of COVID pandemic, the anniversary games, which we love to see in London in the Queen Elizabeth II Stadium, will probably be moved. Could be Glasgow, could be Gateshead. We're not sure. We'll have to find out. And then on the Olympics, we have no clue what's going on there right now. I'll know about the 10. Oh, actually, I'll know in the next couple of days if they're going to help me with rooms and stuff like that. So we will get it all figured out. But in that time, we'll have Athletics Chat 52 next week, and we'll be able to update you. So stay safe. If you like RunBlogRun, please sign up and like us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We need your support. It's how we get paid. More eyeballs, more people checking it out, and tell your friends. If you love RunBlogRun, subscribe on our YouTube channel. We have amazing stuff there. That should be a blast. And I cannot wait to share some of those with you. We have 2,500 videos and audios since 2010. We have almost 380 in 2020. So check it out. There's something for everybody. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. There's no Bill Gates chips and anything. Actually, it helps me because I can hear Moscow and hear, Cuba baseball. Anyway, but really get vaccinated. Stay safe. Wear a mask if you're concerned, and eat well and hydrate and love one another. Okay? Be cool. Take care. Bye.